Hello everyone. In this video series I will be providing you with small tips and tricks on how to enhance your performance as a condition virtuoso in raids and strikes. Today we're going to take a look at your utility skills and how to adapt them to boss encounters. As a DPS player, when choosing your utility skills, you should always ask yourself the following question: which choice results in the highest damage output for our team? If something costs you personal DPS, but it gains every other DPS player extra damage, that change can be worth it. The most basic example of this principle is on the raid boss Samurok. As long as the defense bar of Samurok is not broken, the fight does not continue and nobody can deal any damage. So bringing a utility skill to speed up the break bar is effectively a DPS increase for everyone, even though it loses you some damage personally. This should not be driven to the extreme. In the end, you still want to be playing a functional build, and there's a high chance that supports, for example, could be bringing much more utility at a lower damage cost for them. So clearly, we have to get an idea of how much damage is bound to our utility skills, so I've decided to make this small overview. Signet of the Ether, your heal skill, that's around 1060 DPS. It is worth 2.8% of your damage output on the golem. Signet of Illusions amounts to roughly 600 DPS or roughly 1.6% of your golem DPS. Signet of Domination is roughly 1600 DPS, approximately 4.3% of your golem output. Signet of Midnight is 1720 DPS or roughly 4.6%, so it's slightly stronger than Signet of Domination. 1000 Cuts is roughly 1100 DPS or around 2.9%. What's noteworthy about Signet of the Ether, Signet of Illusions, and 1000 Cuts is that their effectiveness can be highly variable. In very short fights, their impact might be up to twice as high as I've just listed. With these numbers in our back pocket, we can start thinking about utility replacements that make sense. It's often very easy to find one utility skill that is worth more than Signet of Illusions. If you find a way to generate just 2% extra damage uptime for yourself by taking Blink, that's already worth it. A good example for a fight where Blink is very good would be Doom. If you carry out the bomb with a Blink, you drastically improve your uptime. Another example would be bringing a portal on Sabir. If you shorten a split phase for your entire team by just 5 seconds, that's easily worth more than any of your utility skills. However, the portal on Sabir, just like any portal in raids really, requires some amount of coordination with your team, so make sure to talk to your teammates if portal is the correct choice in the fight. So let us spend the remaining few minutes to take a look at our available utilities. In terms of heal skill, there are no real alternatives. If you find yourself in a situation where you're not planning to use Signet of the Ether, you could use Twin Blade Restoration for personal condition cleanse. As elite skills, you have Signet of Humility, Mass Invisibility, and Time Warp. All of those have unique uses, though Signet of Humility might be your most frequent replacement on bosses with heavy breakbar requirements, such as Slothazor or Samurok. For Mesmer skills, you have Heat Back if you need a reflect. Since it is an ethereal field, it increases the confusion output of your squad, so it's not even that much of a damage loss. Null Field can be used if you are after pulsing boon removal or condition cleanse. Portal is very strong on many fights, though more so in coordinated groups when you can rely on people actually taking the portal. Blink is your bread and butter utility skill, where you can find uses on nearly every fight. Mimic is generally very bad. Do not use it unless you specifically need it. That is especially true in fights where you want to mimic your portal or when you want to mimic your blink. Mantra of Concentration is your best way to grant allies stability. Mantra of Distraction can be useful when you are in a fight with frequent defiance bars, for example Samurok. Mantra of Resolve is a good condition cleanse, but that's not usually your responsibility in most fights, because usually healers will provide condition cleanses already. Phantasmal Disenchanter is a very good boon strip that does not lose you much DPS when you cast it, as it is already better than auto-attacking on its own. Blade Renewal can be used if you think you don't have enough invulnerability with your F4. This basically never happens these days, so this is more of a niche skill. Psychic Force is great to push back enemies, for example the Seekers at Veil Guardian. Rain of Swords is a utility skill that does nearly the same damage as Signet of Illusions. You can bring it if you think Signet of Illusions will not be useful for you, or just will not be useful in the fighting situation you're encountering. Sword of Decimation is there if you somehow need an immobilize. Personally, I've only ever used it on Bandit Trio to handle the mortars. Other than that, I don't really think as a virtuoso you need to provide immobilize on any encounter. But it's just there, so you know you could use it. To round out this video, I'll give you utility skills ideas for each specific raid encounter. This is not supposed to say you should use all of those ideas at once, that would be horrible in many situations, but these are skills I would consider worth in these fights. When choosing which skills to replace in your skill bar, use the guidelines given at the start of this video. Additionally, use your common sense. Signet of Midnight is a personal stun break and it blinds the enemies. Signet of Domination is a very strong crowd control skill. Do not swap these out for skills of the same functionality. For example, it would be completely pointless to swap out Signet of Domination for a Mantra of Distraction. You could simply use Signet of Domination for crowd control. I hope you enjoyed this introduction to utility skills. Thanks for watching and I wish you a wonderful day.